Yo, okay, what's up? 2026 is a hell of a year and it's only month two. So, what I'm going to be talking about right now is Kunos' recent decision to scrap their more or less single player aspect of the game. Is the entire single player aspect is not scrapped, but the whole racing and earning money and buying cars part is. And that is surprising as it's kind of uncharacteristic, I think, of Kunos to make such a decision. And from the point of a consumer, it looks like shooting yourself in the foot, basically. When you consider it does kind of make sense that they're doing this as updates are coming out at what I want to call a snail's pace. Um, Around like once every 3 months or so, which I don't know. I don't know if that's good or bad. Maybe if the updates were bigger, we'd feel cool with it. But generally, like the consensus on what they release is never quite good, you know? So I think I'm trying to like put myself into their shoes. Like from a strategic standpoint, it probably makes sense for them to scrap something that belabors the development time any more than it already is. And from my point of view, I think that's I'm not happy with that first and foremost, but it also makes sense to me, right? Like, okay, this is what you're doing. I think the only thing that could like truly justify it at the end of the day is if we actually start seeing updates faster as a result. Like that's the only way that there is even like the smallest of redemption to this very controversial move that seemingly no one is on board with. There's something else that I wanted to talk about. There are 3 points. There are 3 points. One is trying to like put myself into like their point of view, like why do this, right? What How does this make sense? Why would you make a decision that would piss pretty much everybody off that cares about the game? My second point was to encourage people to like go back to older games. I'll get to that in a bit, but I think the point that I really want people to hear is to make yourself heard, right? And the reason to make yourself heard, of course, in like a civil manner, don't tell them to go kill themselves or anything like that. The point of making yourself heard in this specific situation right now is not an attempt to get Kunos to change their direction. I think that's pointless. And I doubt that it would work. Well, maybe if they get like enough backlash, but that isn't the point. That isn't the reason I'm telling you to do that. Do that. The reason I'm telling you to do that is to set a precedent, right? So if other companies are in a similar position in the future, right? They're considering scrapping something really important that they promised everybody, or they're considering what to promise people to pay money for. I think if there is a big enough backlash over this, it would dissuade companies in the future from doing the same thing. In a way, this kind of makes Kunos the victim, but kind of a necessary one. Secondarily, to add to that point, it's important to act on what you say. So, if you are genuinely like dissatisfied with the direction it's taking, so like towards a more multiplayer focused iRacing ish LMU-ish, whatever the fuck direction that most games go in, just to, get players to be hooked on them for longer. Like stick to the decision of not, unless they do something exceptional, then otherwise, if you dislike the direction that it's going in, don't play the game. It's as simple as that. As hurtful as it is to say, like, it's fucking Assetto Corsa, right? Like, it pretty much changed the landscape of sim racing for the past decade. So to say, hey, don't play the new game feels almost sacrosanct in a sense. But like I said, if you genuinely don't like it, don't play it. Because ultimately that's what matters in the end. Like, let's take. Alright, I wanted to tell a story too, right? Like, here's the thing. When I was in high school, I took like this course in video game design, and we, as a team, like we were like working on the game, right? We were just like a bunch of teenagers, right? And it took like practically no time for us to get talking about microtransactions. We hated microtransactions in games, but given the opportunity to make a lot of cash, we were more than willing to talk about it and put it in hours. And the reasoning was we're a bunch of teenagers that wanted money. From a business standpoint, their whole like they in order to make creative products, they need money. Like without money, the whole thing dies. So with that in consideration, it to them, from their point of view, it makes sense to go in the direction that has proven to be very profitable. So here's where you come in. Don't allow that. Like, stick to your words. Do what they are not doing right now, and just don't play it if you're dissatisfied with the direction on it. Um, Otherwise, play it if you like it. Like ultimately, I kind of consider my own feelings on it, and I am more or less ambivalent. I kind of forgot about the game, if I'm being honest with you, and it's not really entirely because they're not performing well. It's more because I'm just distracted by other life things, right? So I heard that I was disappointed when it released. It was really bereft. I bought it like close to day one, if not day one, and yeah, it was nice to drive, but ultimately it was less than I thought I would get. And as time went on, I actually was like disappointed. But now I'm like, all right. Surprised that they made the decision to do that, but all right. So, yeah, that's more or less it. There's another point that I mentioned earlier, and that would be to if you're dissatisfied with like the current landscape for racing games, some of you might have like a favorite racing game that you go to, and that's fine. Stick to that. But if some of you are really just like if you really need a racing game to play, the old ones always exist. I'm just like reminding you, you could always go back to that. Like I would recommend Duck Station, replay some Gran Turismo 2. Gran Turismo 2 is still really nice, by the way. It holds up pretty well. Um I can almost guarantee you didn't like buy all of the cars, so there is that. You can try some cars you didn't. And yeah, the old games always exist. And here's the thing, if developers all around notice that, hey, like the games they're making are so shitty that people are just playing the old ones, they'll either A, pull a Bethesda and like fuck over the old ones and try to milk that, or they'll realize that people really don't like the creative directions that these current games are going in, and maybe, just maybe, hopefully, wishfully thinking, maybe they'll change at least a little bit. So, that's more or less it. The most important thing to take away from this video is make yourself heard in a civil manner and stick to what you say. That's the most important thing. Yeah. Bye.